Morning. It has been an interesting 12 hours or so since my last video. Last one I was down by the creek getting ready to camp for the night, and just sitting around waiting for Nono and just enjoying the afternoon pretty much, which is good. Nono turned up and was the bearer of bad news in terms of upcoming weather, making the next few days look particularly dodgy and not dangerous, but certainly where we're at the moment, the next exit, well, if we can't get over Forester Pass, which will be the day after tomorrow, the only way out of here is pretty much 2 days hike back that way behind me, where I've just come from. And it's interesting as to, well, it would suck going back the other way, and whether I've enough food to do that as well. So I also passed a French-Canadian couple yesterday who were heading back. They had attempted Mount Whitney at around midday, and they were apparently, there was lots of fresh snow and all the tracks were covered, and fresh snow on top of ice meant their traction equipment, their spikes or whatever they were using weren't working, so they didn't make it. They turned around and then they tried to get out over Forester Pass, which is further up the trail, the next point up north. They attempted that in the afternoon and said it was just too slushy, too slippery. Again, their spikes weren't doing anything, their axes weren't doing anything, so they said it was too sketchy and they turned around. So they didn't have enough food to wait till next morning for it to refreeze. So yeah, they were hiking back to Lone Pine, which is 2 days hike back. I would have probably done things differently. My plan is certainly for a dawn summit or a pre-dawn summit of Whitney, while everything is still hopefully frozen solid and spikes should just cruise over the top of it all. And then it looks like it'll be quite a big day, because obviously you want to get back down before the snow melts or turns to slush, so should be back down by, I don't know, 7 or 8 a.m. I guess, at which point we will have done about 16 miles, including a summit of the tallest mountain in the lower 48 states of the US. And then it's about 10 miles from there to the base of Forester Pass, which is the highest point on the PCT. So the idea will be to get there, or as close to there as possible tomorrow, and then camp at the bottom, ready for basically a dawn hike up that path. Again, taking advantage of what's hopefully refrozen snow, so the spikes can actually stick in and we have decent traction. Plenty of people have been over it already, so it shouldn't be an issue doing it that way. I think just that particular couple had some poor timing. But with the weather coming in, that certainly threw a spanner into the works in terms of, well, if it starts snowing on us, then again, our traction stuff's not going to be much good, and there's all the obvious risks of being out here in a snowstorm. So it was a stressful or uneasy couple of hours, and a few other hikers who I haven't seen for weeks turned up. I haven't seen a few of these guys since Wrightwood, which I don't know how long ago that was, but hundreds of miles ago and weeks. And so it was cool to see them actually. It was a good morale boost to have them camping with us, and they even started a campfire, which I'm usually too lazy to do. But that was really nice. We all sat around the fire, stayed up quite late for hiking time. I think we went to bed to about 9:30, and that's sort of, I'm normally asleep long before the sun's gone down, or at least before like the sky is dark. So it was good. I mean, the reason we could do that was we knew that today was going to be a very short day. Unfortunately, I believe we can't camp as close to the base of Whitney as I had planned on. Apparently there's a camping ban east of a certain point, so that means it is a longer trail to get up. So I meant, I believe today's only about 7 miles to sort of get to a staging point for Whitney. I mean, distance-wise, we could do the summit and get back down today, but timing-wise, I just think it'd be dangerous because it's not that cold at the moment during the day. I mean, right now it's probably, I don't know, I'm going to take a guess and say about 10 degrees Celsius or whatever that is in Fahrenheit, in the low 40s maybe. But with that sun on, that snow will be getting pretty soft and pretty slushy, and definitely not something you want to be coming down in the afternoon. I think that probably scares me more, is coming down something when it's slushy than going up. Because going up you can always turn around. Going down you've got really no choice once you're past it. Anyway, so this morning didn't quite go as planned. I did sleep in and got a late start, and I was the first one to attempt to cross that little creek. Didn't go well. I didn't go across the log that I filmed yesterday, because I did watch an old guy go across. Well, actually, sorry, I should go back and say the weather report on this piece of shit here said it was going to be down about -5 degrees Celsius, or about, feel like about 19 Fahrenheit or something, so below freezing. So we're all geared up for a cold night, and I was aware that there was going to be ice on all the logs going across, but I figured I could put my spikes on and that'd help. However, it did not get below freezing last night. And I don't understand condensation, because I woke up completely dry this morning. Sleeping bag dry, tent dry, inside and out. And I thought camping beside quite a raging creek would certainly mean there'd be condensation, but there wasn't. So I have no idea how condensation works. But take a breather here. What happened? So I went across the creek, had a different set of logs that people were going across yesterday. About halfway across I realised there was ice on the logs, and that's why it was so difficult. There's a couple of them side by side. They were wobbly, which shouldn't have been an issue, but wobbly and ice made it quite challenging, and I ended up in the creek. Only about knee deep. Like, I didn't fall in, I just landed on my feet thankfully and didn't break any ankles or knees or elbows, but got very wet, and then just waded across the rest of the creek, because it wasn't a dangerous crossing and it wasn't a big crossing, it was just trying to stay dry. So, I mean, there was ice there. It was probably only 1 or 2 degrees above zero. So fortunately, there was some hikers on the other side of the creek who already had a fire going, so I was able to hang out with them and put my shoes and socks and insoles of them by the fire and start drying them out, and yeah, just warm up basically. I warned the others behind me, said look, it's pretty icy. Nona was about the only one that got across with dry feet. She put her spikes on and went across the logs. The others just took their shoes off, walked straight across and came and sat by the fire. So I think it's about 8 or 8:30, maybe even 9 AM now. I've done all of maybe 1.5 miles today. With a very slow start. And yeah, did scratch up my leg when those logs did snap as I sort of fell in. So, a bit cut up, but probably a good wake-up call for the first of the creek crossings in the Sierra. In other news, I've pretty much given up on the tracking on this thing. At least at the moment, it's just, I mean, it's clear blue skies there, it should be picking up fine, but it hasn't been lately. Well, it's just these mountains that can't get a good enough signal. It's just chewing through too much battery, and at the moment, that's one of my biggest concerns, is how much power I've got left and how long I need to have that power for. Well, I'm not completely screwed if I run out of power. It will mean I'm back to using tablets to treat my water, then potentially boiling to treat my water, and then finally begging other hikers if I run out of power entirely, because I am using the stereo pen and I am unsure how it will hold up. So far it's day 4 in the Sierra, and it's basically almost flat, but I've still got plenty of charge left in my batteries to charge it up. I just want to see how long I can get. But what I don't need is the inReach unnecessarily chewing up battery. Whew, talking and climbing this hill is hard. So I've turned the tracking off just because that's a novelty function. The real reason I have it is it's an emergency beacon if I need it, and it's also a backup navigation as well. Should something happen to my phone, I could turn to this as my next form of GPS navigation, and then failing that, there's paper maps in the back to really push my outdoorsman skills with a compass and a map, which I could figure it out if I had to. I'd rather not though. So yeah, at this point the tracking's been turned off. We'll see how it goes. So far, potential bad weather is nowhere to be seen. Oh, that's right. We had an Englishman, Boots, come back last night. He had turned around at Whitney as well, but he had only because of an injury, knee injury, and so he was headed back to Lone Pine, hiking the 2 days back to try and get out to either maybe call it for the year. It might be his hike over, or just rest up and maybe have another go. But he said he talked to the ranger yesterday, and the ranger said the upcoming weather, the ranger station at the bottom of Whitney, so the weather in the coming days is absolutely perfect for hiking. There were tons of hikers coming and going every day with absolutely no issues. It's just a bunch of sort of fear mongering and people, I don't know, I guess going on misinformation. I'm sure their intentions are good, but yeah, pretty much from what I understand, part and parcel of being in this era is people telling you that you're definitely going to die. However, speaking of dying, fun story, the guys that came and joined us last night that I haven't seen in weeks, they basically came into the Sierra probably almost a week and a half ahead of me by the time they got here. They didn't slow down, take the zeros that I did. And they ended up getting snowed on and exiting at Lone Pine as well. And then they took a week off, went and worked on a goat farm, and then now back. So, what they did find on their first little trip in was at mile 719, which is where I camped the first night in the Sierra, they found the lid of a bear can. One of these things, but not the bear can, just the lid. And they got photos, they showed me the photos. The lid was completely chewed exactly at the tabs, which are supposed to stop the bear getting in. The little clips that hold the lid in place that are quite hard for even me to open. But so at least one bear out there knows how to open these cans. It had only chewed that one section, chewed it completely away, and they found the lid and the bear can was nowhere to be found. That's quite terrifying. The fact that the bear can, there is at least one bear out here that knows how to open the bear can and get you food. Also at that site, they said they found a rope hanging from a tree with no food attached. So someone had also hung their food, and it looks like the bear had gotten, like that bear or a different bear had gotten that and taken it as well. So I guess a pretty poor hang on their part. But yeah, they said mile 719, it didn't click for me at first. But then Nono was like, isn't that where you camped? And I was like, yeah. And they said, oh yeah, there's a fire ring right there. And I was like, that's exactly where I camped. So a week later, after a bear got someone's food, got their bear can, I was camped there with my bear can full of food and the rest of my food in my tent with me because I didn't have any rope to hang it. So making smart decisions out here apparently. Or, you know, just haven't been eaten by a bear yet. Plus side, I can almost fit all my food in my bear can now. Actually, I can fit all my food in my bear can now, so I can actually secure it at night, provided that bear is the only bear that knows how to open it, and I am now far enough away from it, hopefully, that it doesn't want my food. This is about to hit 15 minutes, and YouTube only lets me have 15 minutes, so that's my ramble for now. I'll check in again later.